After our rebirth, Ryan and I silently agreed to pretend we were strangers. He followed the campus belle to a university in another city, while I remained in our hometown. With the foresight of a second life, he quickly climbed the ranks in his field and eventually married her, earning both success and admiration. I, on the other hand, lived quietly with my parents, content in the familiarity of our old neighborhood. A decade passed before we crossed paths again, at our class reunion. He stood confidently with the belle by his side, a cigar between his fingers, and glanced at my modest appearance with disdain. "So this is what 10 years did to you," he scoffed. I didn't flinch. But just then, a powerful businessman arrived late, casually placed his arm around my waist, and said with a calm authority, "My wife's expecting. I'd appreciate it if we could keep the air clean." Ryan's expression faltered. For the first time, his usual cool demeanor cracked. It was only then that he understood, my success, my happiness, had nothing to do with him. It had been a full decade since I last saw Ryan. Our reunion took place at a class gathering. The moment I reached the door of the private room, I heard someone joking from inside. "Ryan, you've really hit the jackpot, huh? You even married the class belle." "No kidding. Just look at how successful he is in the big city. Unlike us small-timers, how can we compete with a big boss like Mr. Song?" "But didn't he used to be close with Emily back then? I remember the two of them always sticking together in study groups. We all thought they were a couple." Then I heard that familiar voice, calm and dismissive. "She was just a study buddy. Nothing more." I let out a quiet laugh. After 10 years, there was no room left in me for bitterness. I pushed the door open without hesitation. Even after all this time, I recognized Ryan instantly. He sat confidently on the sofa, cigar in hand, with Maura, the class belle, nestled in his arms like a trophy. Their classmates hovered around them, fawning like moths drawn to a flame. When I stepped in, all eyes turned toward me. The class monitor beamed and said, "Well, look who finally made it, Emily's here." Ryan and I locked eyes. He pulled Maura a little closer, his gaze sweeping over me with thinly veiled contempt. I hadn't dressed up, just a loose dress and no makeup, partly because I was pregnant and partly because I didn't care. In contrast, Maura was glowing in designer wear, Chanel dress, Hermes bag, flawless makeup. I offered a polite smile and greeted everyone, "Long time no see." Ryan gave a curt nod. Maura returned a lukewarm smile. I didn't try to make small talk. Instead, I joined a few old classmates who still felt familiar. "We're just waiting on Leon now," the monitor said suddenly. "He texted, his flight's delayed. We can go ahead without him." We all took our seats. As expected, Ryan was the star of the evening. Everyone toasted to his success, eager to flatter. After a few rounds, I excused myself to use the restroom. On the way back, I bumped into Ryan in the hallway. His face was red from the alcohol, and his tone was mocking. "So this is what's become of you after 10 years, he said. I stared at him, unmoved. His words brought back memories of the fight we had just before our rebirth. Back then, we were on a highway, mid-argument. After graduation, I had followed Ryan to the big city. We struggled together for 10 years, building our careers. When things finally stabilized, I brought up my desire to return home. I was an only child, and after my father passed away from a sudden cerebral hemorrhage, largely due to not being rushed to the hospital in time, my mother was left alone. I worried constantly about her. Ryan had once promised, "Once we've made it, we'll go back." But when the time came, he hesitated. He claimed there was no future back home, that going back was a waste. He even suggested bringing my mother to live with us instead. But she had already visited once and couldn't adjust. She had no friends, no relatives here. And truthfully, even after 10 years, I still didn't feel like I belonged in the city either. I snapped. "If you won't go back, I will," I said firmly. "Why must you push me like this?" he snapped back. "What's so bad about staying here? Do you really want to live like a country girl forever? Raise a kid in some backwater town?" I was 5 months pregnant then. That made my urge to return even stronger. I knew that once the baby came, it would be even harder to leave this place. And honestly, our hometown wasn't some rundown village. It might not be a global metropolis, but it was developed and full of life. Ryan was just painting it in the worst light. "So now you're saying everyone who stays in a smaller city is a failure? It's the people with no ambition who settle down in small places," he said with contempt. "I hate people like that." I looked at him and asked coldly, "And in your mind, am I one of them?" "I don't want you to become one," he said, full of righteous certainty. Then he added, with no shame at all, "If I'd known things would turn out like this, I never would have followed you to a local university. I should have come here with Maura from the start. I wasted 4 years of my life." Back in high school, Maura had once poured her heart out to Ryan, only to be gently turned down. Ryan and I had been inseparable as study partners for 3 years. Over time, we naturally grew close. But after choosing to stay in our hometown for college just to be with me, Ryan had brought up his regret countless times over the past 14 years. At first, I thought he was just teasing, maybe trying to express how much he'd done for me. But later, I realized he meant every word. So when we died in that car crash and woke up reborn on the same day, the day we were supposed to submit our college applications, Ryan didn't hesitate. This time, he followed Maura to a university in a different city. I stayed behind. Though we both remembered our past lives, neither of us brought it up. We silently respected each other's choices, and I assumed we'd go on to live completely separate lives. Clearly, I was wrong. Seeing him here now, looking smug and composed, I knew he'd been waiting for this reunion. When I didn't respond, he scoffed. So? Realizing how small your world is now that you've stayed behind? Look at yourself, and the rest of our classmates. Anyone doing remotely well? It's pathetic. But hey, it's too late for regrets. I'm engaged to Maura now. He pulled out a showy ring with a massive diamond, easily 5 carats. I knew because it was just a bit smaller than the one sitting in my drawer at home. If you hadn't been so stubborn back then, this would have been yours, he said smugly. I offered a calm smile. Well then, congratulations. I walked right past him. I could feel his eyes burning into my back with displeasure. I couldn't understand why he was upset. Wasn't this the life he'd fought so hard for? Was he really hoping to see me wallowing in regret? When I returned to the dining table, my phone rang. I glanced at the screen and answered, "You've landed?" "Yeah, I'll be there soon." "If you're tired, don't push yourself. I can head back on my own." How could I let my wife attend a reunion alone and walk home by herself? "Wait for me, I'll be there in 20. I smiled and hung up. Just then, someone stepped toward me. "Emily." It was Maura, glass in hand. "Long time no see," she said sweetly. "I wanted to give you a toast." I raised an eyebrow. "Ryan told me he wouldn't have made it into a top-tier university if you hadn't helped him study back then," she said. "No need to thank me, we were just helping each other," I replied lightly. "Still, I'd like to toast you for contributing to his success," she said, reaching out to pour me some beer. "I don't drink," I said, shaking my head. "Oh, just a little." Despite my refusal, she tilted the bottle anyway. I instinctively reached out to stop her. And she let out a loud, dramatic gasp. Ah! The beer splashed all over her Chanel outfit and designer bag. She scrambled for tissues, muttering under her breath. "My bag. My clothes. These can't get wet." Our classmates, familiar with the price tag of her ensemble, looked at her in alarm. After a bit of fussing, she turned to me with narrowed eyes. "Emily, I get that you're jealous, but was this really necessary? You ruined my outfit. Can you even afford to replace it?" I hadn't even spoken yet when Ryan stormed over. "Emily, that was out of line." "I didn't mean to," I said. "I wasn't even trying to push the bottle. I just didn't want her pouring beer into my glass." "Oh, come on. The moment I mentioned Maura and I were getting married, you snapped." "Admit it," Ryan said with a smirk, turning it into a show for everyone. The whispers started. "Wow, I didn't think Emily would act like that. She always looked so composed. I heard she and Ryan were together before. Now that he's successful, maybe she regrets not going with him." I stayed silent, then spoke clearly. "I told her I don't drink." She insisted. "That's all." Maura gave me a sympathetic look. "Emily, I really appreciate your help with Ryan back then. But it's time to let go. We all know you still have feelings for him." I stared at her. "Why would you think that? Did I say something? Did I give you a look that made you assume anything?" "Come on," she said, like she was doing me a favor. "It's obvious. No one would react like this unless they cared." "I don't," I said plainly. "I'm happy with the life I've built. We all make our own choices." Ryan chuckled in disbelief, and I had no desire to continue the charade. "I'll pay for the clothes and the bag," I said flatly. "Just send me the cost and your bank details." "Pay?" Ryan repeated with a laugh. "Do you even know how much that outfit costs? 150K for the clothes, 300K for the bag. I'll round it down for you, 450,000 yuan. You got that kind of money?" I inhaled deeply. "Don't get angry. Stay calm. Think of the baby. If you apologize sincerely, we'll forget it," Ryan offered magnanimously. Maura cut in. "No. She should also promise, in front of everyone, to stop pining after Ryan." I laughed. Then, without warning, I picked up a half-finished bottle of beer and slowly poured it all over Maura's designer outfit. She shrieked. "Emily, are you insane?" Ryan stepped in, yanking her behind him. He even shoved me, but the class monitor quickly got between us. "Ryan, calm down," he urged. Ryan snarled. "You think you can just humiliate Maura like that? Who do you think you are?" I answered coldly, "I'm nobody special." But since I'm paying for those things, they're mine now. I can do whatever I want with them. You can't afford it, Ryan snapped. Then give me the account number, I said. You're willing to go broke just to spite me. Give me the number. Maura scoffed. Let her try. Let's see if she can even pay. Ryan recited a series of digits. I entered them into my phone and tapped to transfer the money. But then, password incorrect. I frowned. That couldn't be right. I tried again. Still wrong. I pressed my lips together. Maybe the rumors were true, pregnancy really does mess with your memory. Because in that moment, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't remember the password. I stood there frozen, with Ryan and Maura waiting expectantly and a crowd of classmates eyeing me like I was part of the entertainment. Seeing that the transfer hadn't gone through, Maura's lips curled into a satisfied smirk. Weren't you just so confident, Emily? Where's all that money you were bragging about? Ryan hasn't received a single cent. Ryan, still holding his phone, gave the screen a glance and frowned. There was no sign of any deposit. I must have forgotten my password, I said calmly, even though I was starting to panic. If I kept trying the wrong one, the account would lock. How convenient, Maura snorted, full of mockery. Ryan let out a low, mocking laugh. Whispers swirled around the room. I thought she was serious about paying. Guess not. Who'd actually cough up $450K? That's practically half a house. Ryan and Maura were ready to let it slide, but she just had to act tough. Now look at her, completely humiliated. Maura took a step closer, voice icy. So what now? You going to write an IOU? What's the plan, pay it off in a year? Or maybe your whole life? I lifted my eyes and replied flatly, 10 minutes. Leon should be arriving any moment now. Maura scoffed. Stop bluffing. You've clearly got nothing. She crossed her arms. If you had just apologized earlier, we could have let it go. But now? I want you on your knees. Everyone was watching, waiting for me to crack. But before I could speak, the door creaked open, and a familiar voice rang out, sorry I'm late. All heads turned. Leon stepped into the room, dressed in a sleek black coat, his presence commanding immediate attention. He offered a courteous nod. Apologies, my flight was delayed. Without hesitation, he made his way to my side. Taking in the tension in the room, his brows furrowed. What happened? The class monitor quickly tried to smooth things over. It's just a little misunderstanding, Leon. Nothing serious. Maura chimed in, her tone smug, it's not nothing. Emily's the one who crossed the line. I didn't want to make a scene, but she deliberately poured beer on me. That's not something I can just let slide. Leon turned to me, lifting a brow. Is that true? Before I could answer, Maura pressed on, I know you used to have feelings for her, so I'm being polite. But today, she acted out of jealousy and destroyed my clothes and bag. You come from a good family, you must recognize the brands I'm wearing. Leon's gaze didn't waver. So, are you jealous of her? He asked me. What do you think? I answered, unfazed. He shrugged. Frankly, there's nothing to be jealous of. Maura's expression twisted. Leon, don't tell me you still like Emily. I do, he said bluntly. I always have. Gasps rippled through the group. No one had known about us. The truth was, Leon had chased me for years. I never accepted him back then because I didn't want another cold, calculated relationship like the one I had with Ryan. But slowly, I realized that Leon wasn't Ryan. I didn't need to keep living in the past. I deserved better. My parents began nudging me toward settling down, and I eventually said yes to Leon. We registered our marriage earlier this year. Just when we were planning the wedding, I found out I was pregnant. We decided to delay the ceremony, and hadn't told anyone yet. Leon turned back to me. So what's the issue? I forgot my password, I replied calmly. Can you transfer 450,000 yuan to Ryan's account to cover the cost? Leon nodded and pulled out his phone. Give me the account number. Maura's face went stiff. Ryan's expression turned ugly. Leon, this has nothing to do with you, Ryan warned. Emily, this is ridiculous, Maura added. You're really going to make Leon pay for your mess? You think he's some gullible fool? But everyone knew Leon's background, he was wealthy, even in high school. Always picked up in luxury cars, always the one people whispered about. Leon smirked. I want to pay. If she needs something, I'm happy to give it. Maura was left speechless. She had expected me to fall flat on my face, not be rescued by a man richer and more handsome than Ryan. Is this the right account? Leon asked, double-checking with Ryan. Ryan took a glance but said nothing, his jaw tight. Without waiting, Leon tapped confirm. Ryan's phone buzzed with a notification. Maura leaned in, her voice tight. You really transferred 450,000 yuan? Leon shot her a cold glance. Is that hard to believe? Now that it's settled, can you go sit down? Mora's face flushed. She looked at Ryan, but he didn't speak. He just turned and walked away, cigar in hand. Mora had no choice but to follow, stiff and silent. Leon took the seat beside me, casting a glance at Ryan with a hint of disdain. Then, casually but clearly, he said, "Sorry, Ryan, but my wife is pregnant. I'd appreciate it if you didn't smoke indoors." The room went still. Ryan froze for a second, clearly caught off guard. Mora blinked. "Your wife? Who are you talking about?" Leon smiled faintly. He slid an arm around my shoulders and said with quiet confidence, "Isn't it obvious?" Turning to the others, he announced, "We got our marriage certificate earlier this year. We haven't held the ceremony yet because Emily's pregnancy was a surprise, so the wedding's on hold for now." "You married her?" Mora shrieked. Leon looked at her coolly. "Why? Is that a problem?" Mora's face turned crimson. Just moments ago, she had been bragging about how jealous I must be, and now, the truth slapped her in the face. She wasn't the winner. I was. Even back in school, Leon was the kind of person who left a lasting impression, not just because of his privileged background, but because he consistently outperformed everyone academically. After university, he carved his own path in business, building an empire that, by now, likely rivaled, or even surpassed, Ryan's. The only reason they hadn't crossed paths was that they'd flourished in separate cities. Still, people in their respective circles certainly knew of each other. And that, no doubt, was why Mora now looked as if she'd swallowed a lemon whole. The air in the room shifted. The classmates who had once showered Mora with compliments now eyed her with thinly veiled disapproval, as if realizing she had judged others solely by wealth and appearances. As for me, I'd never chosen Leon because of his status. What drew me to him was our shared understanding, our alignment in values. Having lived through another lifetime, I'd learned that relationships built on superficial charm or fleeting passion rarely survived the storms of marriage. True compatibility mattered more than anything. Once Leon openly acknowledged our marriage, the tension dissolved. Our classmates rallied around us with genuine congratulations. Leon placed a gentle hand on my back and smiled, "My wife doesn't drink. She'll stick to milk tonight." "Of course. We're not the kind to throw money around to make a point," someone added with an edge of irony. That single comment changed the whole atmosphere. The laughter felt warmer, the smiles more sincere. And Ryan and Mora, once the center of the spotlight, were now entirely sidelined. Mora's face stiffened. She cast a pleading glance at Ryan, hoping he'd defend her or reclaim attention. But Ryan wasn't even looking at her. His eyes were on me. I tried to ignore him, but his stare burned through me. I met his gaze, only to find a strange mixture of anger and confusion swimming in his reddened eyes. Why was he so upset? We had long gone our separate ways. Weren't we both doing just fine? Leon seemed to sense something too. His voice was calm, but laced with sarcasm as he asked, "Is Mr. Song unhappy that I married Emily?" Ryan didn't respond. He crushed his cigar between his fingers and drained his wine in one gulp. Leon didn't press him. He turned back to our friends, his arm slipping easily around my waist. Congratulations came pouring in. Some teased that Leon had finally gotten what he'd wanted after all these years. Others said we were a match written in the stars. The celebration buzzed with energy. Whatever tension had existed earlier was now long gone. Ironically, Ryan and Mora, who had strutted in like the stars of the night, became almost invisible. They sat quietly for a while, then Ryan suddenly stood and left with a loud slam of the door. Mora, caught off guard, hurried after him. "What was that all about?" someone muttered, eyebrows raised. "Maybe he thought too highly of himself," another replied. "Just because he made it in the big city doesn't mean we all have to bow down to him." "Exactly," said a third. "Every path has value. There's no need to act like one is superior." I wasn't surprised. Ryan had always looked down on people who didn't live in big cities. In his mind, small towns equaled small minds. After the gathering, Leon and I got into the car. He'd had a bit to drink and leaned into the seat with a lazy grin. "He still has feelings for you," he said, half teasing, half serious. I shook my head. "No. He just can't accept that I'm actually happy. In his version of my life, I was supposed to be stuck in our hometown, miserable and regretful. He never thought I'd settle here and find peace. And now, seeing it for himself, he can't stand it." Leon didn't argue. He just pulled me close and whispered into my ear, "Then I should thank him for not cherishing you when he had the chance." Looking back, I couldn't even tell if either of us had let go first. Maybe it had always been a slow unraveling, one we both accepted in silence. I bore no resentment toward Ryan. If anything, I barely thought of him anymore. But the very next day, he reached out. "Emily," he said on the phone. "Can we talk?" "No," I replied flatly. "What for?" "I'm at Iceland Cafe. Waiting for you." He didn't give me a chance to refuse again. Just like before, he assumed I'd come, because in the past, I always did. Truthfully, I was curious. And I wanted to put a definitive end to whatever he thought still lingered between us. So yes, I went. As I stepped into the cafe, Ryan looked up with a knowing smile. In his eyes, he'd already won something. I sat across from him without a word. What would you like? Cappuccino? Mocha, he asked smoothly. Just water, I said coldly. I'm pregnant. I can't have coffee. The smile on his face froze. He said nothing, but I saw it. The realization. The disbelief. The sting. And that was enough for me. Ryan took a sip of his coffee before finally speaking. I never thought you'd end up with Leon. Back in school, didn't you say he wasn't your type? My response was flat. People grow, Ryan. Don't you remember rejecting Maura's confession back then? Yet here you are, with her. He opened his mouth to explain but trailed off. I had no interest in hearing excuses. Marriage is only truly understood by those in it, I said calmly. No outsider can judge whether it works or not. He scoffed. So what, are you implying our marriage didn't work? I met his gaze without flinching. Isn't that obvious? Otherwise, why would we have ended it? His expression hardened. I was trying to teach you a lesson. I wanted you to realize your stubbornness was a mistake. I figured once you regretted it, we could fix things. I stared at him, not with anger, not with amusement, just a strange sense of exhaustion. Ryan, why do you always assume you're right? Because I was, he insisted. I made all the right choices. Just look at the others, we're the only ones who made something of ourselves. Sure, Leon's doing well, but that's all thanks to his family. Without them, he wouldn't stand a chance. But me? I built everything with my own 2 hands, in a city that doesn't hand out favors. The more he spoke, the more animated he became. And yet, I wasn't impressed. I've never denied your efforts, I said sincerely. It takes a lot to survive in a cutthroat city, even more to succeed. But just because your path was right for you doesn't mean it's right for everyone. Not everyone measures fulfillment by status or wealth. He went silent for a moment. You've earned recognition, contributed to society, and your achievements are admirable. But have you ever considered what your parents wanted? The warmth of having their son nearby as they grow old? You give them money, but is that really all they need? He cut me off sharply. Save me the lecture, Emily. Of course. He never cared much for hearing perspectives other than his own. It only confirmed what I'd come to realize, shared values matter more than love. We sat quietly for a while before he suddenly blurted out, Emily, I won't beat around the bush. I want you to come back with me. I blinked, stunned. I must have misheard. He sighed. Yes, I'm saying I want to start over. Pretend the last decade never happened. The only condition is that you get rid of the baby. My heart went cold. I had come here thinking he just wanted to show off, maybe gloat a little. I never imagined he'd actually ask to reconcile. He misread my silence as excitement. What? Cat got your tongue? Ryan, have you lost your mind? I finally snapped. His face clouded. You're married now, and expecting a child. I get that. But so what? You and we had history. You're unbelievable, I said. You think I can't be happy without you, is that it? Or is it that you can't bear seeing me content without you in the picture? He flushed at my words and muttered, I know you're still bitter about how things ended before. Fine. I'll come back. I'll move near your parents. We'll try again. I said nothing. Mistaking my silence, he continued, you don't need to answer right now. I'm leaving the day after tomorrow. Think about it. There's nothing to think about, I said. I can answer you right now. He raised an eyebrow. Already made up your mind? Yes. I've moved on. I have a life now, a family. We made our choices the moment we were given another chance at life. I don't want you to give anything up for me. I just want you to let go. His face darkened. Be careful what you say, Emily. This offer won't come again. Then we're done here, I stood up. Goodbye, Ryan. For good. He grabbed my arm in desperation. You're really going to throw this away? After everything? What exactly are you offering that I'd be giving up? I snapped. You think a few words are enough to erase 10 years of silence? He gritted his teeth. Just tell me what you want. I'll give it to you. I don't want anything from you. Just stay away from me. Stop being so damn difficult. Let's just call it stubbornness, then, I said with a soft, sad smile. And don't waste any more of your precious time on someone like me. His voice trembled. Emily, what do you want? Do you want me to grovel? To admit that I still love you? That I can't forget you? I looked at him. For the first time, I truly saw him, not the successful man, not the ex I once loved, but a stranger stuck in the past. He softened his tone. Let's erase the last 10 years and try again. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I just couldn't handle the disappointment. How could it have been just a moment of spite? I sneered. You simply followed the path you wanted, and now that you've found it's not as fulfilling as you thought, you want to go back and start over? Ryan was visibly upset, almost furious. When did I ever say I regret anything? With my current success, why would I need to regret anything? At my word, Mora would jump at the chance to have my child. How you feel doesn't matter to me in the slightest, I said calmly. The moment you decided to follow Mora to study in another city, we no longer had any connection. Emily, stop pretending. You just can't get over the fact that I left you back then. You just can't swallow your pride and reconcile with me. But I'm giving you an easy way out now. I did have a hard time accepting how decisively you left with Mora back then, I admitted. I did feel lost after we were reborn. I never expected Ryan to make up his mind so quickly and so absolutely. I thought that after all our years together, he would have hesitated at least a little. But he didn't. During that time, I felt like a complete joke. From that moment on, I let go of all my feelings for you, I said, looking directly at Ryan. If you hadn't suddenly appeared in front of me today, I probably wouldn't even remember you. Emily. I don't care whether you believe me or not, but that's my honest thought. I hope you'll never appear in front of me again, disrupting my happy, fulfilling, and hopeful life. I forcefully shook off Ryan's hand and walked away without looking back. I thought that after saying all that, after things ended so unpleasantly with Ryan, we were completely done. I believed we would never have any more contact. Even if we ran into each other by chance, we would just be strangers. But I didn't expect that half a month later, I would receive a message from Ryan, Emily, I'm back, and I'm not leaving again. I was stunned. I recognized the words, but suddenly I couldn't understand what they meant. Can we meet? I immediately turned off my phone. I convinced myself it was just a hallucination. But when I left work, I saw Ryan standing at the entrance of my office, waiting for me. After I got pregnant, Leon suggested that I stop working. But I felt it would be more boring to stay home, and I didn't want to risk prenatal depression, so I insisted on going to work. Emily. Ryan approached me, holding a large bouquet of flowers. I felt a wave of disgust. Didn't I make myself clear? I asked him. Didn't you say that I couldn't expect you to come back to me just because I asked? Well, now I've dealt with everything in the other city, and I'm back here for good. I promise I'll never leave again, Ryan assured me. Do you really think that's all there is to it? That our relationship fell apart just because I wanted to go back home and you wanted to stay in another city? Otherwise, how could we have drifted apart when we loved each other so much? We drifted apart because we both made choices. Because we both gave up on each other. I never gave up on you, Ryan said, agitated. I know you're doing well now, and Leon treats you well. He's willing to stay in the city you love, and he can provide you with a good life. But I can give you all that too now. If you know I'm doing well, why are you still trying to interfere with my life? Because deep down, you really love me, Ryan said with certainty. You only settled for Leon because I left. Now that I'm back, you shouldn't go against your true feelings. I didn't mock Ryan for his arrogance. After all, I did love him very much back then, which is why he has the confidence to say these things now. Ryan, do you know that love can lead to disappointment and eventually fade away? I looked at him. Ryan's eyes turned red. He probably didn't expect me to be so indifferent to him, indifferent to the point where he could no longer sense any emotion from me. In our past life, I followed you to another city, and you promised me we'd return home. But in the end, you said we'd never go back. I never doubted your pursuit of your career and life goals, especially since you did succeed. What angered me was that you shouldn't have lied to me. From the moment you asked me to go with you, you had no intention of coming back, did you? Ryan tried to justify himself. I was afraid you wouldn't come with me. I really loved you and was scared of losing you. And after we were reborn, you didn't hesitate to follow Mora to another city. Did you not think about the possibility of losing me? Ryan was at a loss for words. He said painfully, I thought you loved me enough to wait for me. I never imagined you would actually be with another man. So, because I ended up with someone else, you couldn't accept it, and that's why you came back to find me? Emily, I really do love you. Being with Mora was just a momentary infatuation. The one I've loved all along has always been you, Ryan said with deep emotion. But his words only made me feel disgusted. You didn't love Mora, yet you wasted 10 years of her life. You say you love me, yet you demand that I submit to you. Now that you've realized everything is slipping out of your control, you start to panic and regret. Don't you think your behavior is despicable? I'm sorry. Ryan suddenly apologized. He seemed unsure of how to defend himself. I'm sorry, Emily. Can you forgive me this time? I promise I'll never disappoint you again. Ryan took out a ring from his pocket. It was the same ring he had intended to give to Mora for their wedding. He said, Emily, do you remember this ring? When we got married in our previous life, we couldn't afford it, but I promised I would get it for you one day. I came back this time to ask for reconciliation, and I bought this ring especially for you. Do you know why Mora was so hostile to you at the reunion? Because she knew I was going to reconcile with you. I couldn't help but laugh. So at the reunion, he had planned to reconcile with me. But instead of showing kindness, his way of reconciling was to try to put me down, to make me beg to come back to him. I didn't want to say much more. I just looked at the ring and couldn't help but comment, I remember that even after you got rich in our previous life, you never gave me that ring. I was too busy back then. No, it's because you only realize the value of something after you've lost it. Even if that's my fault, even if it's all my mistake. Emily, can you give me one more chance? Marry me, and we'll start over. This time, I'll give you everything you want. As he spoke, Ryan knelt down and proposed to me in front of my office building. In our past life, I must have loved him too much, which is why he's so confident that if he turned back, we would reconcile as if nothing had happened. I shook my head and coldly rejected him. There's no chance. Emily, I gave up my career in the big city for you. That was your choice, not mine, I interrupted him. And I've already told you, our separation wasn't mainly about the city. It was your actions, time and again, that made me feel cold. I can change. No, you won't. Everything you do has a purpose. I decided not to spare his feelings anymore. You knew I once loved you deeply, so you used that love to deceive me without restraint. You knew that even if I found out in the end, I would still forgive you. You didn't buy the ring because I wanted it, but because you wanted to use it to hold on to me, because you realized that I really don't care about you anymore. The reason you chose to stay isn't for me. It's because your parents are getting old and your mother suddenly fell ill. They need you to be here to take care of them. And Mora isn't willing to stay with you here, so you thought of me. I spoke calmly. I even smiled. Because I realized that I really didn't care anymore. Even knowing Ryan's impure motives didn't stir any emotion in me. I saw Leon approaching from a distance, coming to stand by my side. I knew he was waiting for me. He respects all my decisions. And he has enough confidence, because his love and care for me are something Ryan could never match. Honey, can we go now? Leon asked, holding me close. I nodded. I didn't even spare Ryan another glance. We turned and walked away. I decided to stay because of you. Not because of Mora, not because of my parents. Ryan called out loudly behind us. I stopped and said, even if your reasons weren't what you say they are, I still wouldn't get back together with you. Ryan, when love is gone, it's gone. Honestly, I couldn't even recall the happy moments I once shared with Ryan. The happiness I now see in front of me is all thanks to Leon. This video is an original work of the YouTube channel Romance Grove, and is published exclusively on this channel. Please don't re-upload or share it on other channels. After that, I never gave Ryan another chance to get close to me. I blocked his number and refused to answer any calls from unknown numbers. I also decided to quit my job. Leon had always been worried about me working while pregnant, saying he could take care of me, and that if I got bored at home, I could always work at his company. I had initially refused because I didn't want to rely on him too much. But now, I deeply felt that we were truly a family. A few months later, I gave birth to a daughter. 6 months after that, Leon and I held a grand wedding. We invited many old classmates, but of course, not Ryan. When Leon and I went to the classmates' table to toast, I overheard a conversation. Ryan hasn't been back to the other city in over a year. I heard he and Mora broke up too. Ryan's mother passed away a few days ago, another classmate added. Fortunately, Ryan stayed home with her for more than a year, otherwise, he would have regretted it forever. I attended the funeral the other day. Ryan looked very different, not at all like the vibrant person he was at last year's reunion. He seemed lifeless. It's said that his mother's greatest regret when she passed was not getting to hold a grandchild. Could it be that Ryan still can't get over Mora? No, a female classmate whispered. Mora was willing to stay in their hometown for Ryan's sake and even tried to reconcile with him, but Ryan refused. Mora said Ryan couldn't forget. She glanced at me but didn't finish her sentence. She knew it wasn't appropriate to talk about such things at a wedding. I pretended I hadn't heard, calmly sipping my wedding wine and greeting our guests. After the wedding, Leon and I returned home, exhausted. I was so tired I didn't want to move. Leon was sorting through the wedding gifts. Suddenly, he called out to me, Emily, there's a personal envelope for you. Leon handed it to me. I saw the name Ryan on the envelope. I hadn't seen him today. I looked at Leon. He smiled and said, I didn't see him either. I opened the envelope and found a ring inside. There was also a letter, and about 8,888 yuan as a wedding gift. I unfolded the letter. Emily, congratulations on your wedding. I know you don't want to see me, but I couldn't resist coming to your wedding. I hope I didn't let you notice me. I just wanted to see you, to see if you were really happy. Maybe then I would finally give up. Maybe I would finally face reality. You really don't love me anymore. Not even a little. I was so arrogant to think that as long as I turned back, you would be waiting for me. You were right. When I left after we were reborn, it wasn't just out of spite. I always thought that without you, I could be happy with someone else, that I could still live a good life. For the first few years, I did enjoy an unprecedented freedom, no need to consider your feelings, no need to be forced to eat breakfast, no one scolding me when I came home drunk from a business dinner, and no one nagging me to go back to our hometown every day. But then, one day, I started to miss you. I missed your cooking. Missed how you would wait for me in the living room no matter how late I came home from work. Missed how you would hold me tightly in your arms. I missed you for a long time. But I never came to find you. I stubbornly believed that you should be the one to give in between us. Because your choice was wrong. Until I couldn't stand it anymore. I desperately wanted to be with you. I even started calling Maura by your name sometimes. So I came back and attended the reunion. When I saw you dressed so simply, I naively thought I had won. You seemed to be doing so poorly. If I asked you to come back to me, surely you wouldn't refuse. But reality slapped me in the face. There was no love left in your eyes when you looked at me. I thought wealth could win you back. I never imagined you had already married Leon, and were carrying his child. You had love, you had stability, there was no void I could fill. Panic set in. I had no idea how to undo what I'd done. I kept convincing myself that you only chose Leon to hurt me, that deep down, it was still me you loved. You'd once loved me so deeply in our previous life. How could that love have simply disappeared? So I came to find you, shamelessly clinging to the belief that I still stood a chance. Whatever Leon could offer, I believed I could match, or exceed. And since you had once loved me more, I foolishly thought you'd be moved. But looking back, I see now how pathetic I was. How could I ever assume that after abandoning you, you'd remain stuck in place, waiting? I was selfish. Disgraceful. And even now, I can't stop myself from saying, leaving the big city really wasn't for my parents. It was for you. Still, I'm grateful that decision gave me time with my mother before she passed. I got to be with her in her final days. But I know none of that changes anything now. It's too late, and my words hold no weight anymore. I just feel so hollow, Emily. My heart aches. I went to the hospital when you gave birth. I saw Leon holding your child. I saw the light in his eyes, the pride in his smile. In that moment, I remembered the baby we never got to meet in our past life. I had longed for that child. I was ready to be a father. I wanted it. But this time around, I lost my chance before I even realized it was slipping away. I'm sorry, Emily. Truly, I am. I hope you live a life full of joy. As I finished reading the letter, emotions churned within me. Perhaps what Ryan was feeling now mirrored how I'd felt when we were first reborn, watching him walk away without a second thought. Even though I'd told myself again and again to respect his choices, I still wept in the dark, resented him in silence, battled my pain alone. But all of that belongs to the past now. I don't know how long it'll take Ryan to let go. But frankly, it no longer matters. I dropped the letter into the trash can. I didn't notice the last line scribbled on the back of the envelope. Emily, tonight, I'll be waiting outside your bridal chamber, waiting for you. Leon saw me toss the letter and smiled. He whispered, darling, the night's just begun. Let's not waste a single second. We turned out the lights. The long night stretched out before us, warm, and never lonely again.